എന്നിട്ട് ഇതിൽ ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം ഓഫ്ലൈൻ. അപ്പൊ ഇനി ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റ് ഇത് ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റ് നേരെ ഇതാക്കി മതിയല്ലേ ഗൂഗിള് ഗൂഗിളിൻ്റെ റൈറ്റ് ക്ലിക്ക് എടുത്തിട്ട് കോപ്പി ഡീബഗ് ഇൻഫോ കോപ്പി URL എടുത്തിട്ട് എൻ്റെ വാട്സാപ്പിലേക്ക് അതിനൊക്കെ പരിപാടി. അല്ല ഇതിപ്പോൾ ഇനിയിപ്പോൾ എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്? ഇപ്പോൾ യൂട്യൂബെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് യൂട്യൂബിലേക്കുള്ള ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ കൊടുത്തേക്കുന്നു ഇപ്പോൾ. അതെ അതെ ഇത് ഉണ്ട്. പോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തോ ഓക്കെ. ആ സമയം ഓൺ ചെയ്താൽ മതിയല്ലേ? അപ്പൊ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് യൂട്യൂബിലോട്ട് എൻ്റർ ചെയ്യാനൊന്നും എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? ആ URL വാട്സാപ്പിൽ കൊടുത്താൽ മതിയല്ലേ? Not to watch the national webinar live through YouTube, please. അപ്പം നമ്മൾ ലൈവ് കട്ട് ചെയ്യില്ലല്ലോ, നമ്മൾ ഇതിൽ തന്നെ ചെയ്തൂടെ? പിന്നെ പബ്ലിക്കാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട് എനിക്കറിയാം. അല്ലേ പബ്ലിക്കാക്കണ്ടേ തുടക്കുമ്പോ? അത് മനസ്സിലായി. ഇന്നിപ്പോ തനിക്ക് ഞാൻ ഇതിന്റെ URL അയച്ചു കൊടുക്കാം. അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് ഇപ്പൊ. കിട്ടുവോ? നീ കട്ട് ചെയ്യട്ടെ? ആ ആ ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റാ മിസ്? വെബിനാറിന്റെ ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റിൽ എടുക്കട്ടെ? വെബിനാറിന്റെ ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റ് എടുക്കട്ടെ? ഡിസ്റ്റർബൻസ് ഉണ്ടോ? വെബിനാറിന്റെ ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റ് എടുക്കട്ടെ? ഇതിനൊക്കെ ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്. ഡിസ്റ്റർബൻസ്. ആഹാ Hello? മിസ് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യിപ്പിക്കുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് എൻ്റർ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. മിസ് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യിപ്പിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് അങ്ങനെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. ഇവൻ സമ്മൺ ലെറ്റ് എങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ എനിക്ക് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. എന്തിൻ്റെ? ഇല്ല. നോക്കട്ടെ കേട്ടോ. ഭയങ്കര ശബ്ദോട്. OBSലെ സൗണ്ട്. മനസ്സിലായി. OBSലെ സൗണ്ടാണ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. കുറച്ച് ചെയ്യണ്ടല്ലേ? മുക്കാക്സ് ആണ്, ഡെസ്ക്ടോപ്പ് ഓഡിയോ ആണ്. മുക്കാക്സും പിന്നെ ഡെസ്ക്ടോപ്പ് ഓഡിയോയും മാത്രമാണ്. മുക്കാക്സ് മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാനാണ്. bowel movements. Ajman is another compound that is being helpful for stimulating the respiration. So schizophrenic patients, this is being used for mental disorders, then chronic gastrointestinal problems. This name itself, this plant name itself is Ramonthia serpentina. So this they are being used against snake bites. So this is acting as an antidote against snake bites. So an interesting feature that is being seen in this plant is you could see that. This plant has a lot of properties in curing how to stimulate this features of a lot of medicine
ചേച്ചി ഭാരത് മാതയിൽ കേറിയോ? അവിടെ ഗസ്റ്റ് ആണോ പെർമനന്റ് ആണോ?
Hello, our research person has joined. We'll start within a few minutes. A very good morning to you all. By invoking God's blessings, on behalf of the manager and principal of BharataMata College and faculty members of Department of Botany, let me welcome the elite audience of faculty members, research scholars, and students of various institutions in India to this webinar on wetlands, the abode of biodiversity. This is organized by Department of Botany in connection with its Golden Jubilee celebrations. Now, let me welcome and introduce the resource person of the webinar, Dr. M.G. Sanil Kumar, Head of the Research Department of Botany, SNM College, Maliyankara. Hearty welcome to you, sir. He received his PhD degree from School of Marine Sciences, Cochin University of Science and Technology, for the thesis entitled Marine Microalgae in the Southwest Coast of India. He is a recipient of Dr. R. Satish Memorial Young Scientist Award for Best Paper Presentation at the Kerala Environmental Congress held at Thiruvananthapuram. He served as research assistant in Center for Ecological Sciences, Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. He has 2 years of postdoctoral research experience and participated in several open sea research expeditions along the west coast of India. He has over 42 research publications in various national and international journals to his credit. He has 16 years of research experience in microalgal blooms and wetland macrophytes. He is an expert in taxonomy of marine benthic microalgae and had significantly contributed in the preparation of monograph on marine benthic microalgae of India. He is a life member of Marine Biological Association of India, Society of Marine Biologists, and Indian Science Congress Association. He is the principal investigator of major research project on investigations on algal blooms in central Kerala. He is also a member of PG Board of Studies in Botany, Mahatma Gandhi University. Several research scholars are pursuing PhD in phycology under his guidance. Now I invite Dr. Sanil Kumar for presenting the topic.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Nubi, for a nice introduction. Of course, this is a very happy moment for me. So, in this platform, this is the first presentation I have today. More than several such talks have been given earlier, but in a physical mode, this is the first virtual mode presentation. So, thank you for that. Of course, I think, shall I know anybody from outside Kerala? Otherwise, I can speak in Manglish, Malayalam and English. Or if it is there, please inform me. Anybody from outside Kerala? Please post your message or tell me. No.
Yes, there is, sir. Yes.
Yes, of course. Then no problem. Okay. Actually, as it is nicely introduced, myself Sanil Kumar, serving for the Research Department of Botany. Then I am going to present before you about wetland, the abode of biodiversity. Of course, there are so many friends. My dearest friends are here. Sister Vijay, then Butrin Sharifa, and of course Ishrabat from Karnataka. Okay, very good morning, one and all again. So in my presentation, I have decided to talk about wetlands, the abode of biodiversity, that is the home of biodiversity, in such a manner that I will define wetlands. Then of course I will give a brief introduction about what are the different types of wetlands, then wetlands of the world, wetlands of India, wetlands of Kerala, and finally I will go through a case study which I have been done earlier. That is a floristic analysis of or the wetland plants, importance of wetland plants in Mudiyad wetland, that is in Thrissur district. So I think with this brief introduction I will start. Is it visible? Is it visible? Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, wetlands, that is the abode of biodiversity. Then, of course, first I will go through what is the definition of wetland. See, wetland, it's a word, wetlands or wetland. That is a combination of two words, wet plus land. So you can understand what is a wetland. Wetland or land is being wet. We can generally call it as wetland, or the land area with the wet soil, or the land area which is saturated with soil. Saturated with the water. Then of course we can say it is a transitional zone between water and land. Like that, so many definitions are there, but one important definition that is put forward by Ramsar in 1971. So Ramsar, actually it was a city in Iran, that is on the banks of Caspian Sea in Iran. So in 1960s onwards, there was a discussion among scientific field or scientists regarding the increasing degradation of wetland habitat for waterfowls or waterbirds. And scientists from 18 countries met there in Ramsar in 1971 in an international symposium of waterfowls or waterbirds. And they unanimously made a decision that if the water birds or waterfowls are to be protected, its habitat to be protected first. The habitat of waterfowl, that is wetland or aquatic systems. So that is a treaty. It's an international convention that I will discuss it later. But in 1971, this Ramsar Convention initially started, and it came into force in 1975 actually. But they have made a definition of wetlands. So this is the authentic definition of wetlands. You can see or you can read. See, areas of marsh, fen, peatland, or water, whether natural or artificial, with water that is static or flowing, fresh, brackish, including areas of marine water, the depth of which at low tide does not exceed 6 meters. So in this definition, we can understand that wherever there is water, it can be called as a wetland, because any temporary or permanent water bodies are termed as wetland. Any water that is, any soil that is saturated with water is also called as a wetland. So areas of marsh, marsh is a wetland. Marsh, fen, peatland are commonly found in northern hemisphere or in temperate areas, because marsh is commonly found wetland because it is having herbaceous vegetation, plant vegetation. And fen also, it's another type of wetland in temperate areas in which the surface water having so mineral contents. Then peatland, sphagnum moss and like small plants are buried. Like, so these are wetlands of northern hemisphere. Then now artificial water, that is static or flowing, flowing water or still water condition, which may be fresh water or brackish water or including areas of marine water. Marine water means, there are 2 low tides and 2 high tides happening in every 24 hours. So during the low tide, low tide, so water will be less in the shore. In the intertidal area may be free with water in low tide. So in that particular low tide or the lowest low tide, the depth of water at which 6 meters may be considered as a wetland. That means many of the coastal areas are also coming under this definition. So this is the definition of wetland. And I am going to the importance of wetlands. Yesterday or in the past, the wetlands influence the development of human civilization since historical times. Why I am saying so is because, before human civilization, many of our forefathers actually are hunter-gatherers, hunter-gatherers. So actually, and after some time, they settle on some places and they settle along the banks of rivers or along the water areas, water rich, because they have to make their food grains. For the cultivation of food grains, they need water. That's why they settled on the river banks. So famous human civilization that whether it is Mesopotamia, then Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Sindhu, Ganga, that is Ganges in India, all are developed and flourished along the banks of wetlands. So this is the first thing. The second one is wetlands produced and preserved. I'm sorry, say if there is any doubts in between, you just I don't hesitate to ask me, please, because I never since I am presenting these slides, I cannot see everyone. So please ask me if there is any doubts. Thank you. So then the second thing is produce and preserve many of the fossil fuels that we are using today, because even the evolution of higher plants or including animals like us, before their plants were there, then animals were there, but these animals, the dead remains of animals and plants are buried under soil in the past, and that fossilized or that buried degraded matter is being used today as our fossil fuels like coal and oil. And today, what wetlands are providing, the staple food of human beings, around half of the human population or half of the world population is rice and fish. Rice and fish is the staple food of human beings. The next to rice is wheat. So the rice is cultivated in paddy fields. Paddy fields are a typical example of wetlands. And fish, it is being cultivated or seen naturally in aquatic systems of wetlands. So here, more than 1 million square kilometer area is cultivated. Now it is a little bit increased nowadays. So these are the importance of wetlands. Then we move on to the functions of wetlands. Wetlands may be called as biological supermarkets and sometimes called as kidneys of landscape. Why it is supermarkets? We can purchase or we can have anything under a common umbrella like that. In a supermarket, we can buy several things in one shop like that. It is also called as biological super because this is one among the Earth's most productive ecosystem. It may be equivalent to tropical rainforest or coral reef. So these are compatible. Okay, it has a rich biodiversity. It is having high biodiversity. Then aquatic systems provide extensive food webs. There are so many food webs in aquatic system when we compare to land. Then about, this is the main thing, 20% of life on earth is existing in wetlands. That is the most important thing. Then we move on to why it is called as kidneys of landscape. Kidneys, you know, that is a filtering organ. So it will control flood water. You know how to control flood water, because when a flood or a devastating rain happens, actually this monsoon water or rainwater has been collected in this type of wetlands, and these wetlands act as bowls, you know, bowls. So when these bowls or these wetlands are overturned or overflooded, then only the flood water comes to land. But now, you know, most of our wetlands are degraded, most of our wetlands are reclaimed, so that if there is a small, a little bit of rain, we can have this flood. You know, the case condition in 2018 flood in Kerala, then again 19 flood also. Then Chennai flood, do you remember Chennai flood in 2017, if I am correct? You know, Chennai was once known as the city of lakes. So many small lakes were there in Chennai. All are reclaimed for the so-called development, and all the lakes or ponds are reclaimed, and then now it is filled with the concrete buildings. So there is no chance to flow of water. So then, if there is a small water in the entire city may be inundated with the flood water. So so the wetlands are act as bowl, and it will control flood. Then groundwater recharge. The flood water is been received by wetlands, is come into the groundwater, come as to the groundwater through the capillary forces, and it is stored as groundwater, and it is replenished, and it will supply the water to the surrounding wells or water bodies when the dry season or summer comes. So these are the important things. Then of course maintain water quality, because you know there are so many wetland macrophytes, and through the roots of these macrophytes, a filtration or infiltration has been happening, and thus by the purification of water is been taking place. So that's why we can call it as wetlands are kidneys of landscape, and otherwise it may be otherwise called as biological supermarkets. So wetland supports agriculture. You know, most of the paddy fields, not most, but all the paddy fields are wetlands. Then it supports fishery. Avifauna means wetland birds. Then trees for timber and firewood. That means not inside wetland, but the fringes of wetland. There may be several trees and timber yielding trees. Then reeds, you know, thatch cloth. Roofs. Then recreation such as bird watching and sailing. Scientific studies including, you know, recreation, because all the philosophers and all the poets have been written their stories or whatever poems while sitting alongside the river side, the banks of river. For example, daffodils, William Wordsworth wrote it in wrote daffodils while he was sitting near the bank of a particular river. Thames in London, if I am correct. Like that, it has a recreation value also. So these are the values of wetlands. Then now I'm moving to different types of wetlands. This is proposed by Covardin et al. In 1979. Covardin was a scientist of U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. So he divided the wetland system into 5 major types. The first one is estuary. Estuary, you know, this is semi-enclosed water bodies, including salt marshes and mud flats. Then it is commonly seen near to. Then marine, you know, marine waters, you know, the coastal waters. Then riverine, including rivers. Then coallands. Coallands I will come into later. Then flooded forests, like that. Then porcelain and lacustrine. Porcelain including swamps, marsh, fogs, fen, etc. So swamp, marsh, bog and fen, all these are different types of wetlands commonly found in northern hemisphere. Then lacustrine means pond and lake. So in porcelain wetland, it is there is little flow of water inside this porcelain system, whereas in lacustrine a little bit flow of water is there. So estuarine, marine, riverine, porcelain and lacustrines are the major wetland types. This has been proposed by Covardin et al. In 1979. So then we quickly go through some of the important wetlands. See, this is a salt marsh. This is flooded and exposed by alternating tides with the salt-tolerant plants. You know, the term itself, salt marsh, because the water may be somewhat saltish or saline water may be there, and the plants growing in this habitat or in this wetland type may be salt-tolerant plants. Flooded and exposed by alternating tides. So it has a definite influence on of low tide and high tides. Then of course riparian. You know, riparian in Malayalam it is called as Pulayora or the forest which can be seen on the banks of rivers. That is called as riparian forest. Now in many of our flowers, rivers having this riparian vegetation during, in the upstreams. In the lower streams or in the lower reaches we cannot see, but in the upstreams you can see so many riparian forests. So there is a transitional zone between terrestrial and aquatic habitats. Then of course coal lands. Coal lands actually it is a peculiarity in Kerala. It is spread in Thrissur and Malappuram districts of central Kerala. This is a seasonal floodplain paddy field in which all type of herbaceous plants will be there, and only one time during a year paddy is being cultivated. Now it is here. You can see birds are there. Now it is so 6 months. This will be inundated with the flood water. So at that time, numerous fish varieties will be there, and when the flood water is receded, they will they will mulch or they will till the this paddy field for rice cultivation. So why it is so? Coal lands are called as coal, COL, that I will describe later. This is a wetland peculiar in Kerala. Then swamp, you know, this is a small forest with shrubs and trees, often covered by water, swamp. Then marsh, you know, this is an inland area, inundated or flooded with 1 to 6 feet of water, mostly with perennial grasses. That is called as marsh wetland. Then bog, you know, it is highly acidic nature. The water is somewhat acidic. Then bottom is covered with the dead plants. Then deciduous trees and grasses may dominating. Bogs, you know, bog is seen in northern hemisphere. In temperates. Then come to Ramsar. You might have heard about the term Ramsar. Ramsar, as I said earlier, it is a city in Iran. So the importance of Ramsar, it is an intergovernmental treaty, or it may be called as in Malayalam, it is called as Antarashtra Udambadi, provides the framework for national action and international cooperation for conservation and wise use of wetlands. The prime importance is conservation. We have to conserve the wetland. Then, of course, we have to use wetlands in a sustainable manner or in a conservative manner. It is adopted in Iran city in 1971 and it came to force in 1975. Then, the convention's member countries cover all geographic regions of the planet. Because India is a signatory of this treaty way back in 1982, if I'm correct. Then the Prime Minister of India was Mrs. Indira Gandhi. So now about 171 countries have been signed in this treaty, and we know several such treaties, Kyoto Protocol, Montreal Protocol, then several treaties were there. But Ramsar is a peculiar type, or this is a special type because this is the one and only global environmental treaty that deals with a particular environment or particular ecosystem. So for an ecosystem, the one and only treaty, international treaty, that is Ramsar, and the ecosystem is wetlands. That's the importance of Ramsar Convention. Then, the headquarters of Ramsar is now in Gland, Switzerland. World Wetland Day is 2nd February every year because on 1971 February 2nd, the first conference of this was held in Ramsar in 1971 on 2nd February. Then onwards, 2nd February has been commemorated as World Wetland Day. Then India is signed in treaty, as I said it earlier, 1982. Then every 3 years, there will be a COP. COP means Confederation of Contracting Parties or a meeting of contracting parties. Actually, every member countries meet at least, not at least, but in an interval of 3 years. So in such a manner, 13 COP was there in 2008 in Dubai, held in Dubai. Then upcoming one in 2021, that is the 4th 14th COP. You know, the Wuhan, China, familiar. I don't know how it will happen or not. Anybody will go there, I don't know, I'm not sure. So anyway, it is decided that Wuhan, China in 2000 will host the next COP in 2020. Anyway, so here is Martha Rogers Arrigo. She is the Secretary General of Ramsar Convention for the past 1.5 years, if I'm correct. Anyway, you can see a majority of these organizations or treaties or like even national side bodies are heading by or leading by women scientists. That's a good thing. See, next time I'm going to Ramsar site. So a Ramsar site is an internationally acknowledged wetland, or when we call it a wetland as Ramsar site, that means it should have some international importance. So the convention's mission is the conservation and wise use of all wetlands through local, regional, national actions and international cooperation as a contribution towards achieving sustainable development through the world. That means if a wetland is claimed as a Ramsar site, it should have some importance. Or the wetlands, Ramsar sites are actually a tag or a flagship. If a wetland is claimed as Ramsar site, that means that wetland is internationally important. Like that, in simple way, that internationally important wetlands are called as Ramsar sites. Then a statistics of Ramsar sites. So number of signed countries, that is 171. Number of wetlands of international importance, that means altogether we have 2,396 Ramsar sites around the world. Has spread over an area of 253 million hectares, and India is having 37 such international wetlands. The largest Ramsar site wetland in India is Sundarbans. The Sundarbans is claimed as a wetland in 2019. Before that, the largest one was in Kerala, that is Vembanad Col, that I will come later. So in India we have 37 such wetlands, Ramsar sites, and in Kerala we have 3. See, Ashtamudi Lake, then Shastangota Lake, then Vembanad and Col wetlands. In here, Ashtamudi is the only one with that. This is a freshwater wetland in Kerala. This one, Shastangota Lake is the freshwater. Ashtamudi is a estuarine system. Vembanad Lake, that is the lake in Alappuzha, and that is the huge water body in Alappuzha and Ernakulam district. Lake and Col wetlands of Thrissur and Malappuram district conjoined together or grouped as a single one and is termed as a single wetland system. Vembanad and Col wetlands together. So Vembanad Col is the second largest wetland in India. The largest wetland Ramsar site in India is Sundarbans, Sundarbans, Indian Sundarbans in West Bengal. Then, so this is the geographical area. These orange dots are all the wetlands around the world. Then there is a doubt regarding how a wetland is been claimed as an international wetland or a Ramsar site. There are 9 criteria. Criteria 1 to 4 is regarding to general. Then 5 to 9 is generally it is been actually concerned with the waterfalls or waterbeds. So the criteria 1 is simple. I'm not reading all these things. It should have a unique type of wetland like that. Then second criteria, if a wetland should be considered internationally important if it supports vulnerable, endangered and critical endangered species or threatened ecological communities. This is the important thing. If a wetland should be claimed as an international wetland or Ramsar site, it should have some species which may be either vulnerable or endangered or critically endangered or threatened ecological or having threatened ecological communities, like plant and animal species important for maintaining biological diversity, or it may be highly diverse in a particular geographical area like that. So among these 9 criteria, if it fits for 4 or 5, the convention will claim or will give the tag of a Ramsar site. So there are 9 criteria. 4 criteria is general, and then again 5 is relating with the waterfalls or aquatic beds. Then the largest, the first Ramsar site was Cobar Peninsula in Australia in 1974. The first Ramsar site, Cobar Peninsula. The largest Ramsar sites are Giritamba Mando, not Nigiri but Giritamba in Republic of Congo. Then Chunmade Gulf in Canada. These are the largest wetlands Ramsar sites in the world. Then the countries with most sites, UK, several countries are there, 171 wetlands. But if we take as a single country, Mexico, Mexico is a very small country, but it has, 142 such type of wetland. Because if it is 142, we acknowledge or we appreciate Mexican people because they are conserving wetlands in a true sense or in a sustainable manner. Then this is a photograph of Giritamba Mandab. You can see these are huts of fishermen. See, they are not reclaimed wetland here, because why? Then what they did, see, there are several poles, and upon these poles, these small huts were made. You can see, and they will fish using these huts. Then this is next one is Giritamba. This is Chunmade Gulf. You can see, see there are so many migrant birds. This is in Canada. This is again the largest wetland. Then comes to wetlands in India. So one important factor regarding wetlands of India. This is Dr. Drupajyoti Ghosh, a conservation scientist in Kolkata, West Bengal. Actually, he has been awarded with the famous Lek Hoffman Award. Lek Hoffman was an internationally known scientist who served as the director of IWRB, that is the International Waterfowl and Wetland Research Bureau. IWRB, that is International Waterfowl and Wetland Research Bureau. He was the director. Lek Hoffman was the director of that bureau. Then, of course, he was the vice president of WWF, that is the Worldwide Fund for Nature. So this award in 2016 has been given to Professor, Dr. Drupajyoti Ghosh, a Bengali scientist who is a conservation scientist, and upon his reluctant service to East Kolkata wetland, it is claimed as a Ramsar site, and this award has been given to Drupajyoti Ghosh. So that's a proud moment for India, of course, in 2016. Then coming to wetlands of Kerala, we have 217 small wetland types. We have 8 freshwater wetlands, but these are not considered Ramsar sites, but because Kerala, we have the 44 rivers. Only 3 is flowing eastward, and all the other 41 flowing towards our Arabian Sea. You can see this is a photograph from Alapi. This is again from backwater. Then we are going to the details of Kerala, wetlands of Kerala. See, there are 3 internationally important wetlands in Kerala. As I said earlier, Ashtamudi Lake, then Shastangoda Lake, that is a freshwater wetland. Entire Kollam city or the district of Kollam has been depending upon Shastangoda Lake for their freshwater supplies. Then Vembanad and the coal wetlands. Vembanad and the coal paddy fields together considered as a single wetland system. So this is a photograph of Vembanad coal wetland. Then this is Shastangoda Lake. Shastangoda Lake. This is Ashtamudi Kail or Ashtamudi. So if somebody is going or if we are going to Trivandrum through train, there are several bridges, railway bridges across Ashtamudi River, Ashtamudi estuary. Then coming to my case study, that is coal lands of Kerala, coal lands. In Malayalam, coal, coal adikka ennu parnal bhagyam undavunnathana. So coal lands are flat saucer shaped. Saucer, cup and saucer. Saucer shaped lowland area that has been 0.5 to 1 meter below the mean sea level. It is spread to Thrissur and Malappuram district. one of the major freshwater wetlands of Kerala, and is a rice granary in these two districts. So coal means the bumper yield under favorable condition and total loss in case of breaching of earthen bunds. That means and now also for the irrigation purpose, they are preparing, or they are making some earthen bund to store the water. Earthen bunds in Alapi we can call it as mada viduga, mada nu parayum. There are some films are there like Kannadadi Pottunottu, you might have seen that film, Mada Viduga ennulla term in Malayalam. So that is an earthen bund, we can call it as an earthen bund. Sometimes due to a devastating rain or torrential rain or huge floods happen, this mada or this bund will breach. And if it happens, the entire paddy field will be inundated with water, and it will be a great loss. Otherwise, if the bund is not broken, or it will not, if it is stay there as it was in the earlier condition, the yield which have been produced in that particular time should be a bumper yield. That's why from that bumper, the word coal adikua, that coal came. So while the average productivity of rice in the state is less than 2 tons per hectare, but the coal land yield 4 to 5 tons rice per hectare. Because why it is so? It is very nutrient rich, because all the alluvium from the rivers has been collected with this type of wetlands. I mean this coal lands. And without any manure or without any chemical fertilizers, you can grow paddy there, and this natural alluvium with a rich of nutrients may serve as the additives nutrients of this paddy plants, and it will make some bumper crops. So now I'm coming to coal wetlands. The Muriyad wetland system in central Kerala. Muriyad, you know, that is a part of Vembanad coal wetland system. This is a big wetland system in Iringalakuda area, Muriyad. See, this is a freshwater seasonal floodplain. Why it is called a seasonal floodplain? Because for 6 months it has been inundated with the river water, I mean flood water, because this wetland have two connections, one inflow from river and one outflow towards river. So when the river is being flooded, or the river having high surge of water, it will get into the wetland, and it will flow through another outlet. So that's that's why it is a floodplain wetland, or it may be otherwise called as a fluvial wetland, because there is a little bit of flow is there. Then majority of area under flood water for 6 months. Just a minute. So paddy cultivation is only for 1 season. Then, since I am a botanist or a student of botany, I will stick on to plants, and the majority of these participants are, if I am correct, are from botany background. So I am concentrating on plants alone. But of course, there are some fish species I will show later on. But a little bit importance has been given to plants. Please don't think otherwise, because wetland is a major ecosystem. Both the flora and fauna are incorporating. But here, for the sake of convenience, I have been include only the plantings. So wetland, what is the importance of wetland and wetland associated plants? See, fish feed on periphytic algae, or algae growing on the aquatic macrophytes as an important fish feed. Then this is actually a breeding substrate for insects and other invertebrates, which serve as fish feed. So majority of insects, including the dragonflies, etc., having their preliminary life stages has been associated with that wetland. Without wetland, they cannot survive. Then vegetation itself is a valuable spawning and breeding ground for economically valuable fish species. Then as a wetland plants are biofertilizers and green manure. Then source of matting and thatching material, pulp and paper, because back in before 1970s, actually there were no concrete houses. Only the thatched houses were there. Thatching means ola. So an important thatching material, Aida, Pukaida, or a pandanus plant. So the leaves are used for making a paya, paya. That's the thing. Then biomonitoring. Then wetland grasses are important cattle feed. And some plants are the best dietary food for indigenous people. Many wetlands in Bihar, UP, and Odisha, wetland plants are being consumed as their dietary foods, very delicious foods. Here also one plant is called as Monacaria vaginalis. The root is being utilized by several people in Thrissur district. Then move on to wetland macrophytes. I think I will finish within half an hour. So I will just go through the plants of wetlands. So we can divide in the sense this is not a true classification, but in a wetland system we have two types of plants or two types of macrophytes, higher plants. One group of plants which may be harmful in the sense they may be act as weeds. Then another important thing that is beneficial plants. That is the beneficial plants here I include only the medicinal plants which have been growing inside or on the banks of wetlands. So first of all, I will start with the major weeds. Salvinium molesta, that is African pile. This is the world's worst weed. We can say world's worst weed. This is the first wave of weed infestation in Kerala in the 1960s. Actually, this is an introduced plant. See, actually, this is a beautiful plant, a floating plant. Actually, it is introduced as a, aquarium plant. So now become a menace in our water system. Then, this is the SUD community. SUD means, this is a terminology because this cypress sufflatus, these grass plants, this is called a cypress plant. Cypress plants is growing on or it has been a parasitic or having a relation with the Salvinia molesta. So wherever Salvinia molesta or African pile will be there, these plants also will be there. It will entangle together, and even we can stand upon these particular things. This is a SUD community. It will not sing. This is a heavy mat of aquatic vegetation together with the Salvinia and cypress. So when and the floodwater condition, this will be as a floating mat. So this floating we can easily stand upon. It will not sing, as I said. But while when the floodwater recedes, it is a huge task to remove this thing from the paddy fields. So farmers are being spending a huge expense because to remove this SUD community from their paddy fields. Then another most beautiful plant, that is Icornia crassicus, the water hyacinth. This is a salt-tolerant plant. Actually, it's a freshwater plant, but it has in some estuaries the presence of this Icornia was there. That means it is slowly adapting to saline condition also. That is a very different. Important thing we have to observe is keenly. If it is there, we have to eradicate it from our water bodies. So this is water hyacinth. Notice in 1928 again, this is the second wave of weed infestation in Kerala. Then this is the third wave. That is the first one. That is Salvinia molesta or African pile. Second one was actually Ipomia carnea, Kolavada. Then the third one is Ipomia cornea. It is called as Ponganchulli in Malayalam. In several wetlands, you can see these plants, beautiful flowers. Beautiful pink flowers are there. It is commonly called as bush morning glory. This is a rapid invasion caused the proper use of wetlands in Kerala. But even though this acts as a weed, this is a spawning ground for an important freshwater fishes. This is called as Channa Marulius. That is in Malayalam, it is called as Varal. It is a freshwater fish. The feeding ground and the spawning ground of this particular fish is this particular Ipomia carnea plants. Then the fourth such type of infestation is by Dimnocaris flava. It is called as yellow burhead. The flowers are very beautiful. You can you can see here yellowish flower. It is invading as a disturbing bird in the paddy fields of Kerala. It is very resistant to several chemicals. You can see the invasion of Limnocaris flava in an abandoned wetland See, when we keep the wetland with abandoned for a year, definitely this Limnocaris flava will germinate there and grow intensely, like this photograph shows. So what is the important thing about Limnocaris flava is because it has a huge root system, about 1 meter circumferences, 1 meter circumferences. So this root system may have 1 meter circumference. That means we cannot pluck the plant out from the paddy field because only the stem portion will, or the rhizome, the leaf portion get detached, and the root system along with the rhizome will still there. So that means if the roots are still there, there is a chance of new propagules which will arise within short span of time. So again, it will germinate. So this is the system with the Limnocaris flava. Then this is the fifth again. This is a beautiful flowering plant which is called as Cabomba caroleana. Cabomba caroleana, some of the streams, that is tributaries of rivers, are filled with this particular plant. A very, very beautiful flower, but you know, the entire flow is being disturbed by the extensive growth of these plants in all the tributaries or all the low flowing or flowing water bodies in central Kerala. This is a photograph taken by my professor, Dr. C.N. Sunil, a wetland biologist and a conservation scientist. Then, you know, this is a flower, you see, very beautiful flowers. This is the typical plant. So what that means, a weed plant or aquatic macrophytes, which has been serving as a weed, which will hinder the penetration of sunlight deep into the water body. So if there is no sunlight available beyond the surface of water body, definitely no organisms will survive. I mean the plant materials, I mean algae, such like that, such organisms. If there is no algae, there is no zooplankton. There is no zooplankton, there is no small fishes. If there is no small fishes, you know there is no big fishes. So the entire thing depending upon the penetration of sunlight. So even if it has a thick mat or the surface of this wetland by these plants, it will definitely hinder the penetration of sunlight. That means it will diminish biodiversity in a great manner. So then I am coming to the useful aspects. Aspects. For example, there are so many useful aspects, but here I am concentrating in the medicinal usages only. So you know, about 20,000 plants are listed by the World Health Organization as medicinal plants. Then NBRI, National Bureau of National Resource Institute, Lucknow, listed about 2532 species in Indian folk medicine. So these are the regarding medicinal herbs. Then this is a case study which I conducted earlier in 10-15 years back in the wetland area. So some vernacular usages or some local usages are being pointed out here. So in that area, people use these plants in this manner. That's what I am going to talk about you. Deductible is Centella asiatica. Centella, you know, that is commonly called as Kudavan in Malayalam. See, the entire plant paste is used for treating pediatric diseases, and the juice is for curing throat infection. In that area, in many of the areas, I mean, in my own area also, this plant is used like this. This is called as Kudavan. Then the next one is Eclipta alba. Eclipta alba, in Malayalam it is called as Kayyoni or Kayyunyam. This is a wetland plant. So what is the difference between a wetland plant and aquatic plant? Aquatic plant means it is seen only in aquatic system, whereas wetland plants it can be seen in aquatic system or in wetland system. Wetland system means the plants which can be growing in water or in soil that is saturated with water. The soil that is saturated with water. So all aquatic plants are wetland plants, but not all wetland plants are aquatic plants, because aquatic plants grow only in aquatic system, but wetland plants can grow in aquatic system and in wetland areas, you know, saturated with the water. Soil is saturated with the water. This is Eclipta alba Kayoni. See, the plant juice is boiled with coconut oil and it is good for prevent hair loss and dandruff. Just a few moments, I will come back to Malayalam. Sorry. See, there are so many, പരസ്യങ്ങളുണ്ടല്ലേ, ബ്രിങ്ക, ശൃംഗ, അങ്ങനെ കുറെ ഹെയർ ഓയിലിന്റെ പരസ്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ട്. അതിനകത്ത് ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ചെടി ഏതാണ്? ഈ പറഞ്ഞ എക്ലിപ്റ്റ ആൽബയാണ്. അതായത് ഈ നമ്മുടെ കയ്യോന്നിയാണ്. കയ്യോന്നി പിടിച്ചിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഒരു ഷാംപൂന് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ഹെയർ ഓയിലിന് വി ക്യാൻ സ്പെൻഡ് അറൌണ്ട് 200 or 200 more rupees. But the important thing, many of these hair oils or this what you call as hair nutrient or neutralizers, or like that, do not having the essence of these plants, like that. So, but if it is making in our own house with the juice of this particular plant with coconut, it is very good because it will prevent hair loss. See, I have used this medicine in my college days, but myself, if you can see me, I'm a bald person. My forehead is here, but I have also tried. Baldness is a hereditary disease or a hereditary thing. Any medicine cannot prevent the baldness, but if it is natural hair loss, we can prevent with the use of this particular plant juice. Okay. Then the next one is Emilia songifolia. In Malayalam, it is called as Muyal Chevi. See, the filtered plant juice is poured to eye for healing internal wounds inside eye. Then semi-boiled juice will relieve asthma, and plant paste reduce inflammation. Needake korkkan vendi the paste ubhayikkum. Then Oxalis corniculata, this is called as Puliyarla in Malayalam. The fresh juice is a good medicine for treating piles. Then it is one of the major ingredients for making medicines for curative purposes of jaundice. Many Vaidyas or traditional doctors using this plant for as a precautionary medicine or a medicine treatment for the treatment of for the ailment of jaundice. A very good medicine, Puliyarla or Oxalis. Then of course we coming to Cardiosperm. This is a French plant. Cardiosperm, it is called as Ulvana. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. Udinya, like that. Yeah. One of the major ingredients for making a special dish that is Marunnu Kanji. If you have grandfathers or grandmothers in your house, you may heard about this particular Marunnu Kanji in the month of Karkada in Malayalam era. That is a nutrient rich, that is a medicinal kanji, and rice together. So it has some 10 or 12 ingredients. The major ingredient is this particular plant, Udinya. So when we have been served with this Marunnu Kanji in Karkadaga, month of Karkadaga, we can say we will be immune. We will get the immunity. That's the things behind it. So this is Udinya or Cardiospermum. And again, this is Scoparia dulcis. Scoparia, we can call it as in Malayalam, that is Kalluriki. This is again a wetland fringe plant. That means it is growing. This is an important medicine for the treatment of kidney stones or urinary tract infections, such as, see, the entire plant paste with cow milk, fresh cow milk, is given for relieving urinary disorders. Kidney stone will remove when the medicine is used regularly for 21 days. This is a fact. This is a very important fact because I am residing near to Aluva, that's down in central Kerala. Actually, there is a big hospital there. I will not disclose the name of that particular hospital and that particular doctor. The doctor, a very, very famous doctor. But why he is giving this particular medicine for the patients with the kidney stone. Even though he is given some, some medicine, English medicine, along with this, every morning is being giving this particular, just like a small quantity is being crushed and sugar fresh. It will be treating this, this urinary tract infection and kidney stone for 7 days. Actually, he's been giving. Then it is he will be, and that is a custom there. Now also he's been using this custom. So along with the English medicine or whatever, is also giving for Patients Vernonia scenario, that is Puan good for curing urinary diseases like that. Then this is Hylas Cully. The Malayalam, I'm sorry, I cannot recollect it now. See, the leaf paste is used to reduce inflammation. Needekka varimo korikkanayittu the leaf paste ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നു. Then, of course, then another economically valuable plants in this is area of Muriad wetland. You can see this man. He has been collecting. Collected this buds of lotus plant. See, one lotus bud having around 5 rupees. Then now it is 20-25 like that it goes. See, the ash of the leaves together with coconut oil used for curing foot cracks. So if somebody is having foot cracks, no use of English medicine. You just collect some lotus leaf, then burned it, and the ash with the coconut oil is the important medicine. Then flower buds, of course, having good economic value. Then another important plant is Pandanus tinctorius. We can call it as Pookaida. Pookaida pookunna kaalangalakku kadalli. Yes. So this Pookaida is being used for, the leaf is for making this mats, and the ash is for healing wounds. Then, as I said, the fruits are eaten by wetland, by very delicious food actually. You know, like pineapple. This is very sweety fruit for wetland birds. Then the roots are very important thing. Roots are serving as a very important spawning ground for yellow catfish. That is a freshwater fish commonly found on the onset of monsoon in central Kerala. So there is a spawning ground is the roots of, this is the fish actually, yellow catfish. I don't know the scientific name of this particular fish. I knew it, but I cannot recollect it now. So actually, what they are doing is fish will dig some, small holes inside the roots of this particular plant, and they lay eggs there, and it will spawn and reproduce. So that is happening underneath the Pandanus plant. This is a yellow cat, very delicious fish. So then, significance. I am coming to finish within 5 minutes. Significance. See. The local extinction of medicinal plants very often leads to the loss of traditional knowledge also, because if such knowledge has to be written or has to be recorded, because such traditions are transmitted orally. That means there is no written record, so you have to record it properly. Otherwise, basmati rice we have to. So when such systems, knowledge system goes to oblivion or we cannot be recollected back. So this is about wetland plants. Then wetland and society, general things found all over the world, from tropic to frozen plains. Then it is the most beautiful places on earth. Then inspired artist travelers, I have said it earlier. Then a spectacular array of wildlife, ranging from kingfisher, then ground for various cultural and ritual activity. You know, in Thrissur district, not only Thrissur district, all the temples having a ceremony, ritual activities have been starting from rivers. In Thrissur district, many of the temples having this ritual starting from coal lines alone, coal lines. And beyond, see, it will provide livelihood for more than 400 million people around the world. So threats of wetlands, you know, there are several threats, because you know, Cochin International Airport is built upon a very huge wetland system. But development is a necessary thing. But we have to check it whether if it should be there or not. So it was a huge paddy field once. That's why in 2000 flood, the wetland, the airport has shut down for 2 weeks. So about half of the wetlands already destroyed in past decades. Then ill-planned housing and industrial schemes. Then toxic pollutants from industrial areas and global warming, that's a general thing. Then indiscriminate mining and landfilling. So mining also very difficult. Very hazard. What to say? Mining and landfilling both are both mining and land filling are very drastic to wetlands. Then overexploitation of biological resources, then overexploitation of groundwater. These are the threats to wetlands. So every year, 2nd February has been commemorating as World Wetland Day, and every year Ramsar Convention is put forward a theme or a slogan. And this year's theme or 2020 theme of Wetland Day was Wetland Biodiversity, Wetland and Biodiversity, Wetland and Biodiversity. Last year it was Wetland and Climate Change, if I am correct, Wetland and Climate Change in 2019, like that it goes. See, it is shelter a number of endemic rare varieties of plants, invertebrates, and insects, and are the habitats for endangered and rare species of birds and animals. This is the famous Malayalam weekly, that is Madhubhumi. See, Kanneeru Kudikum Tannir Tadangal Vettiya, that means Malayalis can understand, because if we lose our wetland, we will suffer for water, or the scarcity will be there for water. So wetland and water, supporting life, sustaining livelihoods. So the original concept of Ramsar was the conservation of wetland birds, and now it is progressively changed to water for people. See, this is the drastic change. When it was started, it was only for the protection of water birds or waterfalls. Then there is a paradigm shift. Now the water birds, no water birds there, but because for our dependence, for our human purpose, we are preserving the wetlands today. That's the thing nowadays happening. So let us conserve the wetlands for ensuring water and food security. So this is two photographs taken. This is the same area. This is a huge wetland in front of my home. This was taken during a summer month. You can see the blue sky. This is taken this year monsoon, the onset of monsoon. It's a very, very huge wetland. This is called as Aduvacheri wetland. In front of my residence, this vast wetland has been conserved by so many people, including myself. So this is my telephone numbers. This is my mail ID. You can call me at any time, not in the midnight, but at any time. You can mail me in this particular email ID I have given. So thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
For your excellent presentation. Now the forum is open for discussion. You can ask questions either directly by unmuting your mic, or you can put in chat box.
Yeah, definitely. Rivers are fluvial wetlands or flowing wetlands. Any water containing area is being considered as a wetland. Yes, next, please. Please don't hesitate to ask me either in Malayalam or English, no problem. Come on. I think Anthony sir also there. Anthony sir is there in our group from Maharaj College.
Yes, sir, I am here.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anyway, your presentation was very good.
Thank you.
Informative. Actually, in the midst of our work, I was listening.
Thank you, sir. Then anybody else, please? Yeah. അതെ സ്കോപ്പ് ഏരിയ നമുക്ക് കരയിലും കാണാൻ പറ്റും, പക്ഷെ വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് ഫ്രിഞ്ചിൽ കാണാം. അതെങ്ങനെയാന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഒരു രാശിക്കായ ചെറിയൊരു വലിപ്പത്തില് എൻ്റയർ പ്ലാന്റ്, അതായത് റൂട്ടും സ്റ്റെമ്മും ലീഫും കൂടി കഴുകി വൃത്തിയാക്കിയിട്ട് അത് അരച്ചെടുക്കുക ഒരു ചെറിയ ഗോലി ഒക്കെയാണ് വലിപ്പത്തിൽ. പച്ചപ്പാല് ഹാഫ് ഗ്ലാസ് പാലിൽ കലക്കി, ഇത് ബിറ്റർ ടേസ്റ്റ് ആയിരിക്കും. അതൊരു 7 ദിവസം കഴിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മാറും എന്നാണ് ആ ഡോക്ടർ പറയണത് കേട്ടാ. പക്ഷെ വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ്, ഇവിടെ നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലൊക്കെ ആൾക്കാർ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, വളരെ എഫക്റ്റീവ് മെഡിസിൻ ആണ്.
സാറേ
സാർ ആന്റണി സാർ പ്ലീസ്.
സാറേ ലിൻഡേണിയ സെസ്പിറ്റോസ എന്നൊരു സ്പീഷീസ് പാടങ്ങളില് വയനാടൊക്കെ പാടത്താണ് കാണുന്നത്. വയൽക്കാഞ്ഞിരം എന്ന് പറയുന്നു, വയൽക്കാഞ്ഞിരം. അപ്പം അത് നമ്മുടെ ഇവിടെ അധികം അവിടെ അവര് അത് മെഡിസിനലായിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ ഈ ഭാഗത്തൊന്നും അധികം ഞാൻ കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പം
ഇതിപ്പോ എന്റെ ഒരു കേസ് സ്റ്റഡീസ് ആണ്. നമ്മൾ മുരിയാട് വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ്സിലുള്ള പ്ലാന്റ്സ് മാത്രമേ പറഞ്ഞുള്ളൂ, ജനറൽ ആയിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല. നമ്മുടെ കേസ് സ്റ്റഡി മാത്രമേ പറഞ്ഞുള്ളൂ. സാറ് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരുപാട് പ്ലാന്റ്സ് ഉണ്ട് അതുപോലെ ഉണ്ടാവും.
ചെറിയ പാടത്താണ് വളരുന്നത്, അതാണ് വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് തന്നെയാണ് അത്. അപ്പൊ അത് പ്ലാന്റ് ഇവിടെ ലൊക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കിയിട്ട് കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല, അതാണ്.
വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് ലിൻഡർണിയ ഒരു വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് പ്ലാന്റ് ആണ് സാർ, അറിയാലോ. ലഡ്വിജിയ ഉണ്ട്, ലിൻഡർണിയ ഉണ്ട്, അങ്ങനെ ഒരുപാട് പ്ലാന്റ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. Yes, please. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Actually, impact of flood on microphytes, algae I have did. Impact of a major flood, 2018 and 19 flood. I have compared the data, previous data I have with the, with regard to algae only, microphytes. That I compared, but not the macrophytes. Then anybody, please don't hesitate. Yes, please. Yes. അതായത് നമ്മള് റാംസർ Convention global treaty, as I said, it is a global treaty. All the member countries, including in India, we have to obey the rules and regulations of this Ramsar. So whatever the decisions will be taking in Ramsar, we have to obey or we have to incorporate. That's the thing. ഇന്ത്യക്ക് മാത്രമായിട്ട് റാംസാറിലേക്ക് കൊടുക്കാം, അങ്ങനെ കൊടുത്താണ് നമ്മൾ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളതാണ് ഈ നമ്മള് ഇന്ത്യയിലെ ഇപ്പോ റാംസർ കൺവെൻഷൻ നമ്മളുടെ ഈ COP, കോൺഫെഡറേഷൻ ഓഫ് കോൺട്രാക്ടിംഗ് പാർട്ടീസ് നടക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഓരോ കൺട്രിയും കുറെ സബ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്യും റിപ്പോർട്ട്സ്. നമ്മുടെ ഇങ്ങനെ വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് ഉണ്ട്, അങ്ങനെ വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് ഒക്കെ കൊടുത്തു കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അവരാണ് അത് നോക്കിയിട്ട് റാംസർ സൈറ്റ് ആക്കണോ വേണ്ടെന്ന് തീരുമാനിക്കുന്നത്. റാംസർ സൈറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആണ്, വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് ആണെന്ന് അറിയാമല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് മാത്രമായിട്ട് അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല, പക്ഷെ അവരുടെ ആ ഒരു റൂൾസ് ആൻഡ് റെഗുലേഷന്റെ അകത്ത് നിന്നിട്ടാണ് നമുക്കത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തുള്ളൂ. മനസ്സിലാവും. ഇന്ത്യയെ കുറിച്ച് ഞാൻ കൂടുതൽ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല, കാരണം നമ്മൾ ടൈം ഇല്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ടാണ് പറയുന്നത്. നമുക്ക് 37 ഉണ്ട്, 2002 നമുക്ക് 25 ആയിരുന്നു ഉണ്ടായത്. അപ്പൊ കൂടി വരുന്ന വളരെ നല്ല കാര്യമാണ്. 2019 സുന്ദർബൻസ് കൂടി വന്നത്, സുന്ദർബൻസ് വെറ്റ്ലാൻഡ് വന്നു, പിന്നെ ഈസ്റ്റ് കൊൽക്കത്ത വന്നു, ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. കേരളത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് 3 എണ്ണമാണ് ഉള്ളത്. യെസ് പ്ലീസ്. Yes, come forward.
Sir is asking, Thomas Anthony, sir, do you have any question?
I just asked, ma'am. Actually.
Okay. Any more questions?
Actually, my own students are also here. My MSc students are here. Then my BSc students are also here, teacher.
Okay, very good.
They may not ask questions because Anyway, any questions? Yeah, please. Please, I can follow you. Please repeat the question. That's a good question. See, the main thing we should start from our grassroots level. Actually, we have this local governments, even the panchayat ward will be there. So in our surrounding areas, if it was a wetland earlier, now it is reclaimed like that. The protection or the agitation should start from our own first. That's the thing. One example I should say, because back in 2016, not 2012, if I'm correct, there was a plan for a BSF camp in my area. See, I have shown some wetlands in my area. It's a huge system. So after filling this wetlands or reclaiming this wetland into land area, the government was planned to make it as a BSF, Border Security Force camp. But from our own agitation, from our people, along with so many other environmentalists, we have started strongly against it. for a continuous agitation for 1.5 months. Actually, there's a BSF camp. They actually neglect this camp, and it is now introduced somewhere in this district. That type of actions we have to take. Otherwise, no, we can see the wetland is losing from our own eye. We cannot say. We have to object, or we have to create our own part there. That's the thing we have to make. So, because we are students relating with botany or whether it's a natural science, we should have this particular thing, because otherwise we will not be a student or a teacher like that. I was humbly saying I was in the forefront of that particular movement back in 2012. So many people don't know. See, some people may be think, see, a BSF camp that is good for us because there will be a Kendri Vidyalaya, there will be